Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be doing the Sunnyside agency landing page from Frontend Mentor. So you can head over to frontendmentor.io/challenges and you can click this. It's going to be most likely the first challenge that you meet with. And you can go ahead and click this card and view challenge hub. And then you can say download the starter files, which will download the starter files for you in a zip file. Now, once you do that, then you can head over into your downloads folder and then you'll find Sunnyside agency landing page, the zip file, which once you extract, then you're going to have this folder right here, which will contain the design, the images, gitignore, index.html, and all these other files inside. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up in Visual Studio Code because we're going to do a bit of copy pasting before we can actually begin our coding process. Okay, so on my right, I have my Sunnyside agency landing page folder. And then on my left, I have my application, which I have canvassed with Create React App. Now, I should have mentioned this in the beginning. Before we can actually begin the copy pasting, then you'll need to canvas a new React application. I've just called mine Sunnyside. And let me show you. Okay, so you're going to say npx create React App, which will canvas a new React application for you. And this is the command that I've run right here. And I've called my application Sunnyside. Now, I've just opened Visual Studio Code into the folder that is created called Sunnyside, and that is what I have opened to my right. So I'm going to close this, and then we can begin some copy pasting. Okay, so I'm going to just select everything inside here and then select out the .gitignore because that's the only thing that we are not going to copy directly inside. And then I'm just going to say copy. And then inside here, I'm going to say paste. And then I'm going to open up my gitignore on my right and then on my left. So this is the gitignore from Frontend Mentor. I'm just going to select everything inside here. And then I'm going to copy this. And then back on my left, I'm going to paste it inside here. And then once we do that, then we can now close this because we no longer need it. We're going to begin a bit of refactoring where I'm going to delete this README, and this is the README that is created by Create React App. So I'm going to delete it so that I'm going to remain with the README copy which I've copied from Frontend Mentor, and then I'm going to rename it into readme.md. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside my source folder, and then I'm going to delete app.css, and then I'm going to delete app.test.js and logo svg and report with vitals and setup test. And I'm just going to delete them, and this will break my application just a bit. And remember, I'm already running my server, so if you click on Ctrl+tilde, and the command should be written right here. So for me to toggle my terminal is Ctrl+tilde. Then you should see that I was already running my server, but it's broken a bit because we have deleted some of the files that it was using. So if I go into index.js, then all I need to do is just grab this and remove it, and then remove the import as well. And then I need to go into app.js and just remove these two at the top, and then remove this entire div. And then I'm just going to return an h1 that says Sunnyside for now. And if I reload this, then I should just see Sunnyside on my right. Okay, so one thing that I do want to do is that I want to grab Tailwind CSS, and I'm going to grab the minified CSS file because I don't want to install Tailwind by npm. So I'm going to go back into Google Chrome on a bigger screen, and then I'm going to head over into cdnjs.com. So cdnjs.com, and then I'm going to search for Tailwind CSS, and then I'm going to grab this. So I'm going to hide this once again, and then once I copy that link, then I'm going to go into my public folder, and then inside my index.html, I'm going to just paste it right around here, this comment as well. And then once I do that, then I'm going to change this title into Frontend Mentor and Sunnyside Landing Page, just like that. Okay, so save that. Okay, so once I save that, then you should see that our title on the top right also changes. So that's looking fantastic. Before I do close this up, I just want to go into style guide MD because we're going to be grabbing some fonts. And I want to grab these two fonts. So the first one is called Barlow and the second one is called Frances. So let me open up my Google Chrome on a bigger screen. And then I'm going to go into fonts.google.com. And then inside here, I'm going to search for the font called Barlow, like so. And let me just see what fonts I need. I need the 600 font weight. So grab this and then I'm going to search for the 600 semi-bold. So select this style. Okay, and then I'm going to go back inside here and search for the second font called Frances. And for this, we are going to need the 700 and the 900 font weights. So where is the 700? The bold 700 and the bold 900. And then I'm just going to copy these link tags. Okay, so what I've done is, this is the link that I've copied from Google Fonts, and I've just pasted it inside here. Okay, and then I'm going to go inside my, of course, save it, and then go inside my index.css file, and then inside my index.css, then I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to remove this and this as well, and probably this. I'm going to change this into Barlow, which is the font that we've just linked, and a fallback of sans serif, like so. And then I'm going to go to the top, and I'm just going to reset everything, even though I already know that Tailwind has reset some of the styles, or at least I think that it should have. So let's reset this margin to 0, reset the padding to 0, and reset the box sizing to border box, border dash box. And then let's say that for all the images, I want the max width to be 100%. These are usually some of the default styles that I usually apply on every website that I build. And then I'm going to say for the UL, then I want the list style type to be none. Let's say that for all the paragraphs, I want all the paragraphs to have a line height of 1.6. And then let's also say that for the H1s, the H2s, H3s, H4, H5, and H6, I want the font family to be, it's called Frances, like so, with the fallback of sans serif. And there we go. So save this, and there we go. So our Frances font should apply right there. And I'm wondering why Tailwind CSS is not applying, because it should have applied and reset some of the styling as well. If it didn't apply, we're going to find out in a moment. So let's go ahead and let's begin building this out. So inside my source folder, I'm going to create a new folder called components, like so. And then inside the source folder, once again, I'm going to create another folder called data. And we're going to populate these two folders as we see fit as we continue along. So let me just close all of this down first of all. And then let's just open the mobile design first of all, because we're going to be building this mobile first. Okay, so this is what we have for the mobile design. We have the logo on the left, and we have the hamburger menu on the right. So right away, I can already tell that these are two components, or at least that's how I want to build them. So I'm going to create a component called logo.js, and then I'm going to create another component called menu button.js. And then inside logo.js, then remember that we need to access our logo from our images, right? So what I'm going to do is inside my source, I'm going to create a new folder called images, and then I'm going to go above inside this images folder at the top, and then I'm going to copy this logo. So copy, and then I'm going to paste it inside my images folder, which is inside my source folder. So I'm going to say import logo from /images/logo.svg, and then I'm going to say _RAFCE, and I'm using an extension called ES7 React Redux and GraphQL React Native Snippets. So this is the extension right here. You can install it, and then you can go through it to see what kind of commands that you can do. But the most common one that we're going to be using is the _RAFCE. Once again, when I say _RAFCE, then it generates this simple boilerplate so that we don't keep on typing the same thing over and over again. Now, once we have this, then I just want to return an empty fragment here, and then a div. And then inside this div, I'm going to return an image. And the source for this image is going to be my logo. And for the alt, I'm just going to say Sunnyside Landing Page, like so. And then once we do this, then I'm going to create another component called header.js. So header.js. And then in header.js, I'm going to say _RAFCE once again to generate a React arrow function component and export it as default. And then at the top, I'm going to import my logo component. So I'm going to say import logo from /logo, like so. And then return an empty fragment, and then return a header element. And then inside this header element, I'm going to return a div, and then this div is going to be housing the logo component, like so. so that when I save this, nothing will show on the screen because I need to render this out in app.js. So I'm going to go inside app.js, and then at the top, I'm going to import header. So I'm going to say import header from /components / header, like so. And then I'm going to change this into an arrow function by saying const app equals to my brackets and then set my arrow function. And then instead of returning an h1 here, I'm going to return an empty fragment. And then inside here, I'm going to return the header component like so, which I've just imported. So I'm going to save this, and it should be blank on the screen on my right, like so, because our logo is white in color. But if I think I can select it right there, so I can select it. So that's working correctly. And now let's go ahead into our menu button. And once again, our menu button is also an image. So I'm going to look for the image called iconhamburger.svg. So I'm going to copy this. And then inside my images folder, which is inside my source folder, I'm just going to paste it inside once again, like so. And then inside my menu button component, I'm just going to say import menu. So I'm calling the image menu. And this will be coming from /images /icon-hamburger.svg, and then I'm going to say _rafce once again, and then inside here I'm going to return an empty fragment and then a button like so. And this button is going to be an image, and the source for this image, of course, is going to be from the menu that I've just imported, and I'm not going to add an art attribute for this. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go back into header.js, and then inside here I'm going to return another div, and this div is going to be housing the menu button component, which I've not imported. So below this I'm going to say import menu button from /menu button, so. And we should see this on the screen. Okay, now this is not what I expect to see on the screen, so something is wrong with Tailwind. Tailwind is not resetting some of the styles as it should. Let me just see if I try to say give this a class name of flex. Okay, so Tailwind CSS is not working as it should. I don't know why it's not working. Let me just see if I can grab the link once again. Give me a moment. Okay, so paste this inside here. Tailwind is not working. The minified CSS file for Tailwind is not working. Or am I doing it wrongly? Okay, since this is not working, then I think we would have to install Tailwind using npm. So I'm going to remove this, okay, and then I'm going to open up my terminal, and then open up another terminal right here. And actually, you know what? I think we're just going to have to shut down this server for a moment, because we're going to have to restart it anyways. So let's close this out for a moment. Let's head over into Tailwind CSS installation docs. Let's get in from create React app. Okay, so let's install this. Just copy this, and then in VS Code, I'm just going to paste this inside and let it run. Okay, and then once this finishes installing, then I'm going to go back into the Tailwind docs, and then I'm going to grab this next one. So install Krakow, copy this, and let this run as well. Okay, and then once that finishes running, then we can go ahead and just grab this stat script. So copy this, copy that, and then we can head over into our package.json. Then we close this terminal, and then we're going to replace the stat scripts here. So that start, build, and the test scripts. So just paste this in so that it uses create React app compatibility override, like so. Or is it configuration override? I forget. And then once we do that, then we need to create this file. So we need to create a krakow.config.js. So I'm just going to copy this, and then inside my Visual Studio Code, inside the root, right, I'm just going to say create a new file here called krakow.config. Config has one f.js, and then paste this in like so. And then we're going to go ahead and run this to create our Tailwind config.js file. So grab that, open up your terminal, and paste that in. Let that run. Okay, and you can just say yes. Okay, and then once that finishes running, then you can see it creates a tailwind.config.js file right here. And then I'm going to go back into Google Chrome, and then I'm going to say this is the file that it has generated, so no need to mess with this, but we actually need this. So you can just copy this and then head over back into Visual Studio Code, open up tailwind config.js, and then replace this second line here with what we have copied, like so. And then once we do that, then we are almost done. All we need to do is now just grab these 3 lines and then include them in our index.css. And then this is already included in index.js, so we can skip this part. Okay, so include tailwind. So just grab these 3 lines and copy this. And then I can minimize this now. And then I need to go into my source folder, into index.css, and right up the top, then I can just paste this inside, like so. So once we do that, then I can now run npm start to restart my development server, and Tailwind should now apply. Okay, and then once our dev server starts up, then you can see that we have nothing on the screen, and that is what I would expect. So that would mean that everything is working correctly. Now let's close up these main files. Okay, so in our index.css, I'm going to leave this open for a while, and then I'm going to go into styleget.markdown file, and then I need to get these colors. We need to get all of these colors because they are very important to us. So I'm going to copy them, and then inside my index.css, I'm just going to say root, like so, and then paste them in because these are going to be our colors for this project. So I'm going to say soft red, like so. Remember that in CSS, when you're declaring variables, then they always have to start with a double hyphen. So this is going to be -- yellow. This is graphic design text. Graphic design text. Close this sidebar. Okay. And remember your semicolons as well. Remember your semicolons. Okay. This is photography text. This is footer. Comment this out. This is very dark desaturated blue. Very dark desaturated blue, and very dark grayish blue. This is dark grayish blue. This is grayish blue. And finally, this is white, like so. Okay, so these are going to be the colors that we're going to use for this project. What else do we need to do here? Let me just check this file. Font size of 18, so let's do that on the paragraph. Let's say font size 18 pixels so that we don't have to keep on going back and forth. For social media icons, I think I can use the icons that we are provided with because I don't want to install many packages. So let me close down this file, and inside our menu button, not inside our menu button, but inside our header, we still can't technically see anything, but because we have installed Tailwind, I can give this a class name of bg-blue-500, and you'll see that we should be able to see our logo. Okay, so when I give the header a background color of blue, a shade of 500, then this is what we see. So we can style it out just a bit better by setting this to a flexbox, like so, and then saying items center and justify between. But then remember that I technically want this header to be a transparent header. So I could technically set this to position absolute and then set the width to full, but I don't really want to do that right now. So if I just give this a bg blue of 500 for now, and then let's go ahead and create our showcase section next. Inside the components folder, I'm going to create a new file called showcase.js, and then inside showcase, I'm going to need 2 images, and the first image is going to be which one is it? Is it image-header? Okay, so this is for the mobile, so I'm going to need image-header for the mobile. So I'm going to copy this, and then inside my images folder, I'm going to create a new folder. Okay, new folder called mobile, like so, and then paste in my image. So image header. And then I'm also going to create another folder inside my images folder called desktop. And then I'm going to go back inside desktop here. And then I'm going to grab this image header for the desktop. So copy this, because as you can tell, it's much different. So inside here, inside the desktop here, I'm going to paste this inside for my image header for the desktop. And I'm going to show you why I've done that. Now let's go inside our showcase, and then let me return an empty fragment, and then let's return a section here. And this section is going to have a class name of showcase, because we're going to style it manually in our CSS. And then inside here, we're going to have a div with a class of overlay. And then inside here, we're going to have an h1 that says what? We are creatives. So we're going to say we are creatives. So we actually need that downward pointing arrow. So let's just check and let's confirm that it should be icon arrow down.svg. So just copy this, and then inside our image folder, inside our images folder here, we can just paste this in, and then we're going to import it. So inside our showcase here, let me close this side panel, and I'm closing it by toggling it using Control and B, and it should be Command and B on Mac, I think. So we're going to say import arrow from /images/icon arrow-down.svg, and then below this h1 I'm going to have an image tag, and this image tag, the source for this is going to be coming from arrow, like so. So let's go into app.js and render out our showcase. So into app.js, and right below the header, let's render out our showcase like so. And showcase is not defined, of course I need to import it, sorry for that. Import it like so. So we are creatives is showing. Now let's go into index CSS, and right below this, let me place a comment that says showcase like so. And then we're going to target the showcase, and I'm going to set this to background of URL, and set this to /images/mobile/image header, and then set the background repeat to no repeat, set the background position to center, and the background size to cover. And then let me set this height to 512 pixels. Okay, that's a very specific height. And then let's target the showcase, and then target the overlay next, overlay like so. And then we're going to give this a height of 512 pixels, because I want to say display flex and align item center and justify content to the center, which will place the text inside. Remember the h1 that we have inside the overlay, as well as the image, it will place it perfectly to the center of this image. So that's why I have this height here as 512, the same as the height above here. So let's save this, and then let's reload this, and we should be able to see our image. And look at that. So we have our image showing with, we have our title, our h1, we have our arrow pointing downwards. And then one thing that we need to do is just say flex direction, and set this to column like so, so that this will move downwards here. So save this, and then as this reloads, then I just want to go back into my header, and then I'm going to remove this blue background color. So remove this blue background color, and then set this header to absolute. Okay, so when I set it to absolute, this happens. Okay, but I still want it to go to the end, so I'm going to say width-full, which will take it to the end. Okay, there we go. Let me add a padding all round of 5 to push it inwards and downwards just a bit. Okay, and remember that we haven't yet added our navbar, so don't worry about that. Let's go into our showcase, and then let's style this h1. So the h1, give this a class name of text-4xl. Let's say uppercase, transform it to uppercase, and then say text white. Okay, and then let's say tracking widest. Tracking widest actually adds the letter spacing, as you can see here. And actually, I've not talked about this extension. So in case you're wondering, this extension is called Tailwind Css Intellisense. I think so. Where is it? So it's called Tailwind Css Intellisense, and it just provides some kind of smart completion in case you're looking for Tailwind classes that you've forgotten, for example. And it's really nice, so that when I even give a kind of color, then it will show the kind of color that it has right there. So let me save this. Let's see how this looks. We are creatives, and that's looking nice actually. Let's go inside this arrow. Let's add a margin to move this arrow downwards. So inside here, let me give this class name of margin top of 10, move it downwards. Let's just say margin top of 20, and that should be fine, so that the text kind of moves upwards and then this moves downwards, and this is looking very nice. Okay, so let's deal with the next section. So let me close the showcase, and actually before we actually go to the next section, I'm going to go back into my index.css, and then I'm going to add a media query, and I'm going to say add media for a min width of 768 pixels. Then I want to target this showcase and change this background color into the desktop version. So I'm going to copy, actually I'm just going to copy this and paste it inside here and change this to desktop like that, and this should access the desktop image. So I'm going to save that, and that should apply. Now I'm going to close some of these files down because we don't currently need them, and let me check what we need for our next section. So our next section is called transform. So let's create a component, close these files are too many. So inside components, I'm going to create a new file called transform.js, like so. And then inside transform.js, I realized that we do need an image, right? So we need an image that we're going to get from mobile, and it's called image-transform. And we're also going to grab the desktop version from desktop, and it's called image transform. So I'm going to copy this, okay? And then inside here, inside my mobile folder, I'm going to paste this in. And then I'm going to go back inside here, going to grab the desktop version, going to grab the image transform, copy this, and paste it inside my desktop. So paste this in. So we're going to import both images. So I'm going to say import transform mobile from /images /mobile /image transform.jpg. Copy this downwards, change this to transform desktop, and change this to desktop like so. And then I'm going to say underscore RAFCE, which will create a React function component and export it as default. And then inside here, I'm going to return a fragment and then return a section. And this section is going to have the first thing. What is the first thing that it has? It has a div, and then the image. First of all, it has the image, the source for this image. And actually, do you know what I want to do? I want to show you a kind of trick. Now, instead of having this image here, let's return a picture tag. Okay, so HTML has a picture tag, and it takes in a source, and I'm going to say source media of min width this, and then source set. And then I want that when a min width of 768 pixels is surpassed, then I want the source for the image to be shown to be the desktop image. So I'm going to say transform desktop. And remember that this is now JavaScript, technically JSX, so this needs to be camel case, so source set. And then if the device width is less than 768 pixels, then I want an image to be shown, right? And the image to be shown is going to be the transform mobile. So transform mobile, transform, can't spell it. There we go. And then once we have this div with a picture tag, then we're going to have another div, and then this div is going to have an h2 that says transform your brand. So transform your brand. And then below this, we're going to have a paragraph. And I've just remembered that instead of typing all this out, we have an index.html file. If you copied it from the files that we got from our downloads. So index.html here, I'm just going to have that on top. And then we're going to say transform your brand here. So this is the text. So copy this and paste it inside here. And then below this, we have a button. Okay. And the button says learn more. Okay. So learn more. Now I'm going to give this button a class name of btn-transform because we need to style it just a bit differently with the colors that we have in our index.css file. Okay, so once we have this, let's just render this out in app.js. So below this, let's render transform like so, and it gives me the option to auto import it. That's why it imports automatically at the top. So save this, and we should see something on the screen. And we have this. Look at that, looking amazing, looking amazing. So let's go ahead and style this out. Now, notice how we already have our image. We just need to add a bit more styling, where I also need to change the colors of the paragraphs, right? Let me just do that in our CSS. The colors of the paragraph should be, I think, very dark grayish blue should be it. And then this one is the color of the header. So for the header, let me just go inside here. Let's say the color should be very dark desaturated blue. And then for the paragraph, set the color here to very dark grayish blue. I think those are the correct ones. Yep, I think those are the correct ones. Now, once this reloads, then we should be able to see it. So let's go into transform.js and let's try this out. Let's give this h2 a class name of text-2xl. And then let's go inside this div, give this a class name of padding on the x of 5, or rather you're not padding all round of 5, push that inwards, and then let's say text center, so text dash center, like so, move that inwards. Let's go inside this paragraph, give this a margin on the y-axis, margin on the y-axis of 5, so on the top and bottom. And then let's go inside this paragraph, give this paragraph a class name of margin on the bottom of 5, pushed away from the button. And then for this button, let's go into index.css and let's type it out. So let me just place a comment here that says buttons, because we're also going to have another one. So btn transform, and I'm going to say text transform, set this to uppercase, set the text color to very dark desaturated blue, move this up, and then let's say border bottom should be, let's say 6 pixels and solid. And what is the color of this button? It's yellow. Okay, so yellow, let's see, we have a variable called yellow. And then for the next section, now it's still reloading, don't worry about it. You might, for yours, it might reload just a bit faster. And actually, this is it right here. Now I'm just going to leave it at this for a moment. So the next section, it says stand out to the audience. So let's create another component. Let's create another component inside here called standout.js, like so. And then for standout.js, we're also going to do that same thing. We're going to go inside the mobile, look for image standout, like so. Copy this for the mobile and remember to paste it into the correct folder. So paste this in. And then for the desktop, image standout, copy this and paste it inside the desktop inside here, like so. And then we are going to do almost the same thing that we did for the transform component. So I'm just going to copy this. Okay, I've just selected everything and copied it. And then where's my standout.js? Right here. Okay, and then just paste this in. And then we're going to change this to stand out, like so, and then change this to stand out. Okay, and then grab this transform text here. So I'm grabbing all this transform text by saying Control and D. So Control D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're just going to say stand. Let me say stand, small stand out, like so. Okay, that should be nice. And then all we need to do is now just change this H2. So close this, close this. Where's my index.html? Okay, so stand out to the right audience. This is the H2. Copy this and paste it inside here. And then for the paragraph, we need this. So copy this and paste it inside here. There we go. And then we also have learn more for the button, but this button is going to say btn stand out. So let's render it out. Right below this, say stand out, auto import it. Let's save that and let's see what we have on the screen. Can't resolve image standout. Oops. The reason for that is because of this. This should be a small o. Actually, does it have a hyphen in the middle? I think it has a hyphen here. Does it? Okay, there we go. So we have this, and we remember that we've just copy pasted this into here. That's why the styling still applies. Now let me go into index.css and then let me copy this and paste it inside here. Change this to btn standout, like so, and change this into, was it red or soft red? And this should apply as it reloads. And we can go ahead into the next section. And I've just noticed that these buttons have a font family of fonts. So before I forget, let me go inside here and let me grab this. Let's say font family, set this to round says and sans serif, like so. And then actually I can just copy this and paste it inside here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so our next section should say graphic design and photography. Now I think for this we can create a kind of data array, because I don't think too much changes for this section. Now let's go ahead and inside our data, let's create a new file here. Let's call this graphic.js. Inside my public folder, I'm going to create a new folder called images. And then inside here, I'm going to grab the mobile. Let's go inside the mobile. Let's grab the image graphic design and image photography. Those are our two images for the mobile. And then let's go inside the images folder. Let's create a new folder called mobile, like so. And then just paste them inside here. And then inside the images folder, let's create a new folder called desktop. And then for desktop, we're just going to grab the very same images. So image photography and image graphic design. Copy this and paste them inside here. So let's go ahead and let's say import, sorry, not import, but export const, let's say graphic. Let's make this into an array of objects. Let's say ID1. So let's say the image for this is going to be /images/mobile/image dash photography. Was it photography? The first one was graphic dash design .jpg. Okay, the title should say graphic design, and then the text should say, let's go into this index HTML, and then let's grab this, copy this and paste it inside here. Okay, and then just copy this downwards. Let's change this to ID2. Let's change this to image dash photography.jpg. This should say photography. And then inside here, let's grab this text. So copy this and paste it inside here. Now I want to do something where I want to change this from graphic to graphic mobile. Okay, and then I'm going to create another array, and I'm going to say export const graphic desktop, like so. Make this an array of objects, and I'm going to just copy it because it's going to be the very same thing. Okay, the only difference is that instead of coming from the mobile folder, this is going to come from the desktop folder, and this is also going to come from the desktop folder as well. And the image is going to remain the same, and the text is going to remain the same. So save this. So let's go inside our graphic. Where is it? I need to create a component called graphic. So graphic, you can call it whatever you want. I've just decided to call it graphic. And then at the top, I need to import our data array, which I've just created. So I'm going to say import, and remember that it is a named import. So I'm going to say import graphic. I need to place my curly brackets, and I can type so graphic mobile from /data/graphic, and I want to rename this. Actually, let me rename this component to graphic mobile, and I'm going to show you why in a moment. And then I'm going to create another component called graphic desktop.js, and then inside graphic mobile, once I've imported this, I also need to import a React hook called useState. So at the top, I'm going to say import curly brackets, then useState from React, like so. And then below this, I'm going to say underscore RAFCE to create a React arrow function component. And then I'm going to say const, let's say cards and set cards. This is equal to useState. And by default, I'm going to pass in my data called graphic mobile, which I've just imported. And then I'm going to return an empty fragment and then a section next. We're going to map over our cards data. So I'm going to say cards.map, and then place my two curly brackets, and then, place my brackets and then a curly bracket because I want to destructure the data immediately. And I know that I want the ID, the image, the title, and the text. And then I'm going to set an implicit return. Okay, so this is an implicit return. I'm not placing my curly brackets. If I had placed curly brackets, then I'd have to have the return keyword. But because I have this, then I don't have to have the return keyword. And then I'm going to return an article with the key of ID, like so. And then inside here, we're going to have an image. The source for this image is going to be from the image, like so. And for the alt attribute, in case the image fails to load, then I just want to display the title. And then below this, I'm going to have a div, and then this div is going to have an h3 that says title, and then below this h3 I'm going to have a paragraph that says text. Okay, so save this, and then notice how we are not going to use this function. We need to disable it because, as I always say, it is a warning in development, but it becomes an error in production, and we can disable it by saying ESLint disable next line. So place this comment above this, and they should disable it. So save this, and then let's go into app.js, and then below standard, let's just render graphic mobile, and it auto imports it right there. So save this, and we should be able to see graphic mobile on the screen right there. Look at that. So we have our first image showing, so the graphic design, and then our second image for photography. Now let's just style this out. Okay, so inside graphic mobile, then I'm going to say give this article a class name of relative, like so, and then give this div a class name of absolute, and set it to the bottom by 0 and to the left by 0. Let's see what happens. There we go. So that the text now goes kind of inside the image, right? And then inside here still, let's say text dash center. And then actually let me say to the bottom by 5 so that it's not so much to the bottom. And then let's go inside this h3, give this a class name of text-xl. Okay, and it applies to both of them. I actually need to deal with the graphic, with the mobile version for this. I need to deal with the mobile version for this. So what I'm going to do is just grab everything inside here and copy this and just paste it inside here, okay? And then change this from graphic mobile to graphic desktop, like so, and change this into graphic desktop. And then this is going to be the same, this is going to be the same. But what we do need to do is that we need this to only apply on medium screens and above. So I'm going to say for medium screens, then let's say flex. And I want it to be hidden by default actually. So let me say hidden by default. And then for medium screens, let me say block. Is this actually going to work? I don't know whether this is going to work here because I want this to be a flex item. So instead of doing this here, let's say flex. And then let me remove this, and I'm going to show you where we're going to add it. So flex, and then items dash center and justify dash center. And notice that I'm not adding this MD flag in front of each one of them because these two styles will only apply when the element is a flex item. And by this styles, it's going to be applied on the article, so it's going to show side by side. Now, one thing that I do want to do is render this graphic desktop. So inside app.js, let me go inside here. And let me create a div, and inside this div I'm going to render graphic desktop like so, and then I'm going to add another div on top here and render this inside. Now one thing that I want to do is inside this first div I'm going to give this a class name of block, and then for medium screens I want it to be hidden, okay? And then I want to do the opposite for this, so give this a class name of hidden, and then for medium screens I want it to be block. So I don't want this to show on smaller screens except when the width is greater than 768 pixels, and I want this to always show, and I want it to be hidden when the width is greater than 768 pixels. So save this and nothing should change on the screen. And actually I need to import this. Why do I keep forgetting that? So let's go ahead and create our next section. So our next section should be the testimonials. Now for the testimonials, I want to do something similar where I'm going to create a data array. So inside my images here, these are our testimonial images. So this one, 1, 2, 3. So copy this, okay, and paste them inside my images folder. So paste them inside here, okay. And then I'm going to create a data array. So I'm going to go inside my data folder, create a new file called testimonials.js. And then inside here, I'm going to say export testimonials, like so. Make this into an array of objects. The first one is going to be ID1. The name of the person is who? What is your name? Is Emily R. Okay. And then let's say the description is going to be who. This is the description right there. And then the title is going to be marketing director. Paste that inside, and then let's just grab this, copy it 2 more times because there are 3 of them. So 2 and then 3, and on this second one is Thomas S because he has the same initials as my name. And then this is the comment right here, paste that in. And what is your title? Chief Operating Officer. So paste that inside here. Do the same for the third one, Jenny F, business owner. Paste it here. Okay, so you're called Jenny F and you are business owner, like so. And just like that, we have our data array ready. Okay, so let me go back into our components, and then we're going to create a testimonial component. So testimonials.js, like so. And then we are going to import, didn't mean to paste that in. We're going to import our data that we've just created. And actually, let me start with the use state because we need that to manage our state values. So import this from React, and then import testimonials because it's a named export. This is coming from data/data/testimonials, like so. And then underscore RAFCE, do this, and then return a fragment because I like fragments, and then return a section with an h2 that says client testimonials. Okay, give this a class name of testimonials dash header, because we're going to need to style it just a bit differently in terms of color. And then I'm going to say text dash 3XL and uppercase and tracking y dest and text dash center. So we only need this class to change the text color. And then below this, I'm going to have a div. And then inside this div, then I'm going to map over my data, which I have not set the state values for. So I'm going to say const people and set people is equal to use state. And by default, I'm going to pass in my testimonials data that I've just created. And then I'm going to say people.map and then place my brackets. And then I'm going to destructure everything immediately. So I'm going to destructure the ID. So ID, name, description, and the title. And then set my implicit return. Once again, this is an implicit return. Okay. So I'm going to be returning an article with the key of ID, like so. And then we're going to have an image first of all. The image is going to be coming from, wait a minute, did I set the images? I did not set the images. So let me just destructure the images because I know we're going to need that and we're going to add that. So let's go back into our data array right inside here. Let's add our images, right? So here and here and here, select the three of them. I'm adding multiple cursors by holding down the Alt key and clicking where I want the next cursor to be, okay? And I know that I want to add the image. This is coming from /images/image-emily for the first one, .jpeg. Then the second one is called Thomas. Third one is called Jenny. Oops. Didn't mean to select that. Jenny, like so. And then place your commas. Remember to place your commas. Okay, so save that. And we should be able to destructure the name. This should now reflect that we have the image as a string as well. Now, once we have that, in case the image fails to load, then I just want to display the name. And then below this, we are going to have a paragraph that says description, and then an H4 that says their name. And then below the paragraph, I'm going to have a small tag that says their title. Okay, so save this, and then let's go into app.js and render out our testimonial section so that we can see it as we style it. So below this div, let's render out our testimonials, like so. Testimonials, and make sure that it has imported it at the top. So let's see what we have. So we have this. Okay, looking fantastic. So let's go into index.css and let's just render out, let's just change the text color of the testimonials. Testimonials, let me say .testimonials-header. That was the class that I gave it. Then I want it to have, what color was it? The testimonials is the same color as the paragraph. So color, set this to very dark grayish blue, like so. Save that, close this, and then let's go into our testimonials.js and let's begin styling this out. This should not be so big. Let me change it to TextXL, make it smaller, give this section a class name of padding on the Y of 10, and for large screens, then I want padding on the Y to be 20, and then let's say padding on the X to be 5, like so. Move that inwards. Okay, let's go inside this image, give this image a class name of width-20. Save that, let's see, and then let's say rounded dash full, and then let's say block, and let's say mx auto to center it. Let's say margin top of 10, margin bottom of 5, and then let's go inside this paragraph, give this a class name of text-center, and do the same actually for this too. So give this a class name of text-center as well, but this doesn't go to the center because it's not a block element, so just make it a block element, like so. And then let's say that for the paragraph, let's have a margin bottom of 5 pushed away from this header, and just like that we have our testimonial section. Now on bigger screens, this becomes a grid, right? So what I'm going to do is right inside this div, I'm going to give this a class name of medium screens. Then I want this to be a grid. Oops. For medium screens, then I want this to be a grid with the grid columns to be 2. And then for large screens, then I want the grid columns to be 3, like so. And then for extra large screens, then I want a max width to be applied. So max width to be, let's say 6XL. And I'm going to show you how this comes in once we begin scaling it up. and then for Excel, let's say MX to be auto, so that it centers. Once we do that, then I think we're done with the testimonials section, and we can move on to the next section, which is this grid. Okay, so for this next section, then we need to create a grid data array. So let's go into data.js, into our data folder, sorry. Let's create grid.js. And then inside our public folder, then we're going to need to import some images, right? So I'm going to go inside the images folder at the top, go inside the mobile, and I'm going to grab this corn, the milk bottles, the orange, and the sugar cubes. I think those are the only images that we've not used. So copy these. And then inside my public folder, inside my mobile, I'm going to paste this in, like so. And then do the same thing for the desktop. So grab 1, 2, 3, and 4. And copy these. And then inside the desktop, just paste these in. Okay, that's looking fantastic. Now let's create our grid. So I'm going to say export const grid mobile. This is going to be equal to an array of objects id 1, and then the image is going to be /images /mobile /image milk bottles.jpg, and copying this down 3 more times. So 1 to 3, change this to 2, change this to 3, and change this to 4, orange. So sugar dash cubes, like so. And then I'm just going to grab this and paste this on the bottom and change this to grid desktop, like so. And then grab this using Control D and say desktop, and that should be it. Now once I save this, then I'm going to go inside my components folder, close this. Inside my components folder, I'm going to say grid mobile.js, like so. And then I'm going to create another one called grid desktop.js, like so. And then inside here, I'm going to say import use state from React, like so. Oops, no, don't do that. From React. And then I'm also going to import my data. So import grid mobile from data /grid, like so. And then say underscore RAFCE, and then set up my state value. So I'm going to say const cards and set cards is equal to use state by default passing grid mobile, and then say plus a comment, say ESLint disable next line, and then return a fragment here, and then finally a section. And for this section, what we are going to do is we just need to map our data.map, and then do this map, get the ID and the image, and then set an implicit return. Let's return an article with the key of ID, like so. And then inside here, we're going to have an image that is coming from image, like so. Looking fantastic. Let's render this out, and actually I can just say copy all of this, and then inside here paste this inside, change this from grid mobile to grid desktop, change this to grid desktop, and then grab this and this, change this to grid desktop, like so. And the data array should be the same, and this should be the same. So save this as well. Now let's go ahead into our app.js. I'm going to place a div first of all, because we're going to do something similar that we did above here. So this is going to be grid mobile, import that, and then place another div, and then say grid desktop, and import that. No, not the data array. No, don't import the data array. Move this, copy this down, change this to grid desktop, like so. Okay, and then I just want to copy these classes because this is technically the same thing that we're doing here. So paste this inside here and grab this and paste it inside here. So looking fantastic. And then let's see what we have on the screen if it reloads. Okay, so the section is showing, right? Which means I'm referencing the images wrongly. Public folder and images, and it's called, oh, it's called image gallery. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So just grab this, grab this, grab this, and grab this, and grab this, and grab this, and grab this. Image gallery. There we go. so that when I reload this, then it should show. And there we go. So we have our image gallery right there. So let's test this out. Let's go inside here. Let's remove this padding. I was testing something out. Let's say flex. You know what? Let me say grid, and grid columns to be 2 with no gap, so that we have this. Look at that. Very simple. And just like that, we can move on to our footer. Now, one thing that I do want to do is just style this out a bit for the grid desktop. I'm now in the grid desktop. Give this a class name of grid, and grid dash columns dash 4. Now let's create our footer next. So a component called footer.js. Okay, and for footer.js, we're going to need a few images. I think we're going to need the Twitter, the Pinterest, the Instagram, and the Facebook image. So copy this down, copy this. Okay, and then let's paste them where? Inside our images folder, just paste them in. Okay, and if you can hear some noise from outside, I really do apologize. Now let's create a footer. Let's say underscore RAFCE, and then at the top, let's import our images. So I'm going to say import Facebook from /images /icon-facebook.svg, and copy this down 4 times. And what are the images? Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. So Instagram, and then Pinterest, and then Twitter, like so. And then let's return a fragment, and then let's return an HTML5 footer element. And then inside here, we need to have our logo, right? But our logo, remember, our logo at the top, our logo component is white in color, right? It's white in color, but our logo for the footer is green. So we need to import this. We need to create a new logo for the footer, which we're going to do that. And I'm just going to comment this out. And then I'm going to have a UL with 3 list items, right? And these list items are going to be buttons. Now remember, they're buttons. They're technically links, but because they don't go anywhere on our web page, then I'm just going to set them into buttons. Okay, so button, like so. And the text should say about services and projects. So about services and projects. And then we're going to have another UL with list items like so, and they're going to be 4 list items. And the first one is going to be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, then Pinterest. So inside here, we're going to have buttons, images, sorry. This is coming from Facebook that we've just imported. And then I'm going to copy this and paste it inside here. This is Instagram, and then Twitter, and then Pinterest, and then the alt for this is going to be Pinterest, if I can spell it. Then this is Twitter, this is Instagram, and finally this is Facebook. So let's save that, and then let's render this out right here by saying footer, like so, and auto import it, and it auto imports it at the top. So save this, and we should see our footer component right there. Now we just need to get our logo, right? Now let me show you how we can cheat a bit on this. Okay, so remember how our logo.svg is white in color. I just want to copy this, okay, and then right inside the very same folder, I'm going to paste it in. So it's going to create a logo copy, and then I'm going to rename this into footer-logo. Okay, and then I'm going to go inside my index.css, and then I'm going to grab this green color. I think it should be this green color. Okay, so let me grab the hex value for it. So grab this green color, and then go into footer logo and find out where our color is. It should be right here. So instead of the field being white, then I'm going to paste this in, which is going to be green. Okay, and then once I do that, okay, let me change this back to HSL just to be uniform because it bothers me. So once I do that, then I'm going to go inside my footer, and inside here I'm going to render an image. Okay, I'm going to render an image, and the source for this is going to be coming from footer logo, which we don't have imported. So let's just import it. So I'm going to import footer logo from /images /footer-logo.svg. There we go. And let's see, for the art, let's say Sunnyside Landing Page, and then let's give this footer a class name of footer, because we just need to style it differently in terms of the background color. So once we have that, this is our logo, right, that we've just edited. And then let's do this. Let's go into our index.css. Where is our index.css? Right here. And remember, the footer has this background color, right? So let's go below this. Let's say for the footer, let's target the class of footer. Let's give it a background color of the footer variable right there. And it should reset that just a bit. And then we can go back into the footer component, give this a padding on the Y of 5 and a padding, rather, a padding all around of 5. Okay, push all that text inside. Okay, so that we have this. That's looking fantastic. Okay, so let's style this out a bit differently. Let's say that this div, first of all, I want this image to be a block element. So give this a class name of block. And then let's say margin X of auto, which will center the image. And then go inside this UL and this UL as well. Give this a class name of flex and items dash center and justify dash center, like so. So that we have that. And then go inside this individual list items and this and this and this and this. Give this a class name of margin on the X of 2 to separate them out. And then we can go back inside the UL parent elements, so right here and here, and we can say margin on the Y of 5 to separate them out even further, so that we have this. And we just need to change this text color probably for this, the text color. So let me go inside the footer in index.css. Let me change the text color. Let's say for the footer ULLI, let's say the color should be footer. Sorry, not footer, sorry, because it's going to be transparent. You're not going to be able to see. So let's say graphic design text. Change it into graphic design text. Okay, and then once we have that, I think that is the mobile version. That should be the mobile version complete. Now, remember that we did add some kind of styling for large screens when we were building this out. So it should have applied. I think it should have applied. Okay, so let me make this into a larger screen. Let me open localhost 3000 on this larger screen. So localhost 3000, and we should see that. Remember how we set this to picture? Now it changes into the proper picture for desktops. And then we just need to style this and style this. And notice how we already added the styles for this. So this is looking nice. And then we already added the styles for this as well. Probably we can just add a bit of grid gap to separate them out. And we need to add 1, 2, 3. The fourth image is missing. Why is the fourth image missing? The fourth image is missing because it is named differently in the desktop folder, and we are referencing it differently from our data array. So you can choose to rename it in your data array, or you can choose to rename it in your public folder. The fourth image is called sugar cubes without a hyphen in the desktop folder, or you can rename it to sugar-cubes, which is what we have in our data array. Okay, so that when this reloads, then we should have all 4 images. There we go. Okay, but notice that we already added the media queries for this, so this is looking nice. Now let's go into our testimonials. And let's add a grid gap on the cards. So close that. Let's go into testimonials.js, and right here where we have the grid columns to 2, then I'm also going to add a grid gap of, let's say, 5. So gap-5. So gap-5 looks nice, so it separates the text out just enough. Okay, so that's looking nice. This section is also looking fantastic. Now we all need to deal with this, where we want this to be on the right, and then this on the left, and then this should remain on the left, and this should go on the right. So let's figure out how we do that. Okay, let's figure out how we do that. Let me see. We need to go back into, I can now make this a larger screen because we are done with the mobile version. Make this into a larger screen. Okay, and then let me disable this. ESLint disable next line. Okay, that is it for the testimonials. We are done with the mobile. I wanted to go into transform component. Yes, into the transform component. So right here. And then inside here, what we need to do is that we want to say, so this is the first div, this is the second div, and then this is the parent. So I want to go inside here, give this a class name that for, let's say for large screens, then I want grid to be, I want this to be a grid, and then grid columns to be 2, right? Let's tell this out even better. Let's say that for large screens, then I want the text to go back to left instead of center. And let's see how this looks. So it looks like this. This is not technically what I wanted. It's almost there, but it's not technically. Okay, so instead of doing that, then let's use flexbox instead. So here, let's say flex, and then let's say flex row reverse. Okay, so it reverses the order, so that now when we look at this, then we should see this. Look at that. Looking amazing, isn't it? Okay, and then we just need to limit this now. We just need to limit this just a bit to around 50%. Let's go back into VS Code. Let's go inside this div. Let's say that for large screens, then I want the width to be a half. 1/2, not 1.2. Let's see how that would look. And look at that, looking amazing. So it takes up, this div takes up a half of the web page or the device. And then this will automatically take up the remaining half. And then I think we have a padding on the x-axis. That's why you have this space. So let me just figure out where that is. Let's see, where did we add that padding? Is it this padding of 5? Should be this padding of 5. So let's say that for large screens, let's say the padding should be 0. Does that help it? Just a bit, I guess, just a bit. We're also going to increase this to about a half. Now let's say align item center to move this downwards. Let's say item center. So let's say where was it? Where did I say flex? Here was it. So let's say items dash center. So this moves downwards, and then obviously we need to increase the size of this heading. So let's increase the size of the heading. Let's say for the H2, let's say that for large screens, then I want the text to be 4XL. Make it just a bit bigger. Just a bit bigger. And that should be looking fantastic. There we go. Okay, would you look at that? That's looking nice. Now, once we have this, then we just need to do the opposite on this, where we no longer want it to flex row reverse. Instead, we just want it to a flex row. So let's go ahead and do that. And that is it's called the standout component, if I do remember correctly. Standout JS, like right here. Probably I can just copy some of the styles that we have in our transform. So I'm just going to grab this, copy this, and paste them inside here. So give this a class name of this, and then change this to flex. Actually, I can just remove this because by default flex is aligned to row. What other styles did we add? We added this. So large text left, and we added this. Copy this and paste it inside here. And then the final one that we added, I think, was this large text 4XL to increase the heading. And then let's just paste that inside. Let's save this, and then let's look at how it would look. One thing that we do need to do is just add a bit of margin on the left of this so that this pushes inwards just a bit. Let's go inside here. Let's say on this div, on large screens, then we want the margin on the left to be 5. I just want to add something else here, where on large screens, then I want the max width to be 6XL, okay? And then large screens, let me say MX auto to recenter everything. So let's do the same right here. So paste that in, and then now we can go ahead and view our work. So for XL screens, the standard section should increase just a bit, and then let's do the same on the transform. So for XL screens, and then let's try to view what we have. I think this would look much better if the image wasn't so large. Now let's set this padding to 20 here, and then on the transform, let's set the padding here to 20 as well. And then let's remove this max width first of all. Let's remove this max width. Let's not limit anything first of all. And then remove the max width on this. So let's save this. Let's see what we have. And we have this. It's almost coming together. You know what? I think I'm just going to leave it at 7XL because we can't really add a 7.5XL in Tailwind. Now, we just need to, let me just confirm that we don't have any errors. Okay, we don't have any errors. And we have completed our challenge. So make sure to follow me on Twitter as well. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel as well. And if you need to learn more about HTML and CSS, you can head over to udemy.com and you can search for my name. This is the course that I released for HTML and CSS, and I'm also working on another one for React. So you can head over to this, and I'm glad that I got 4 reviews. So I have a rating of 4.6, so I'm really glad. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.